Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We're going to take a quick look here at Bitcoin, helping understand best practice and big picture. And just so you know, some of the volatility here today is coming from Jerome Powell's speech based on the 0.5 basis points interest rate hike. Okay, so keep that in mind. That has a lot to do with this here. So you can see that affecting the traditional markets as well as Bitcoin here today. Okay, so we're going to look at the overall sense of things, though, too, as well. Kind of look at some big picture stuff. So if you're new to the channel, keep in mind, not a financial advisor. I love teaching people to trade. Hope you can learn something here today. If you do want to become a better trader, CryptoCash.tech is a site. It looks like this here, and you can effectively become part of our community. We got a trading academy community, and I send out signals as well for the trades that I take, and we are considering a long position right now for a few coins. So just keep that in mind. That is available here for course for you as well. And be sure to check our sponsors page because we got a lot of different sponsors that are available with exchanges, etc. But what I want to talk about here, of course, is I would say just a few things. First of all, liquidation levels. We can see some liquidations are occurring here in the last just short while based on the simple fact that, of course, we had this strong dip below that support at 20,200. As I mentioned before, that's a strong support range, so that is something that's kind of causing it here as well. Open interest is increasing, albeit tapering off here recently. So I think we're going to see the price recover and bounce back here soon because of that. Again, different things can happen, but for the most part, that is what we're looking at for the moment. But again, you see this large aggressive candle wick here at the point. One other thing to note as well, if we take a look at the big picture, you can see that the fear and greed index is still at about 48, 49 range. Okay, so that's not terrible, that's not bad. It's kind of right in the sweet spot, honestly, because we don't have that desperation, you could say. We're going to see that if we lose this shelf here right at 21,500 as a rough estimate. That's pretty close to the support range that we have. We lose that, we will probably start seeing some red. So again, something to note. We can also see as well that we have a decent amount of support in the range that we're at here right now, even though we had some liquidations at 22,000 even. That is essentially becoming a support level. Okay, so 22,200 roughly. This little range here is definitely looking pretty good. We can also see some resistance at 22,500. We've known that for a while, but that is essentially something we can see there. Okay, so again, you can't see that on the charts. I use HyblockCapital for that. If you want to use their platform, it's tremendously beneficial. Be sure to consider using that. I have a discount link down below if you want to consider using their monthly subscription or just pay for a year with a discount. So here's what we want to do here on the daily. I want to take a look at a few things. So when we take a look at the RSI, we can see RSI is kind of just plateauing. We've seen that for a while. But the money flow index is coming down. So in other words, that really helps us understand that we are coming close to a support level here. We might see that bounce. A lot of times the MFI will come down and bounce a lot quicker than the RSI itself. Because again, there is not a lot of strength in the market right now, right? But with the money flowing in and out, we can see there's an extreme there that we're going to come down to bounce off that level. So I'm confident that we're going to see the price increase from here, unless, of course, the news today is just completely terrible. Again, it's been fairly consistent, if you will, for the moment, but generally speaking, that's kind of what we're looking at here. I apologize, we got some dogs walking by. my dog is on guard duty today. So take a look here, of course, at the MACD. We can see it kind of leveling out, right? That really tells us we're not gaining any momentum to the downside, even though we're swinging down pretty hard. There's nothing really to worry about there. Okay, so that's generally what we're looking at there. If we take a look, of course, at the SMA, we can see that the price action is essentially coming down. So the price is below the 50-day SMA, all standard stuff. We know this, right? So not a lot of new information here today from yesterday. This whole week has been just a whole lot of nothing. And honestly, when you see that happen, typically something will occur. In other words, we're going to see a shift in momentum in one way or the other. I feel like we're going to see an upwards shift based on the fact that we've had a lot of support at this range. If we look here previously, though, when we had this 4 or 5 day stretch, we had a nice strong rally back upwards. Okay, so I'm not saying we're going to see a strong rally per se, but that is definitely a possibility. Okay, just something to be mindful of. That could very well happen. All right, let's take a quick peek at the 4 hour and the 1 hour and call it a day here. We're below all moving averages. Not a great thing on the 4 hour. We're also potentially diverging here soon. And I say potential because you can actually see bounces here. So don't jump right in based on the fact that you feel like it's going to shift. You can absolutely see things like this occur where the price will bounce and continue higher. Okay, so I wouldn't check out completely. But with the RSI coming back down closer to 30, that should work as a support level. Anytime we've seen that in the past, it'll typically bounce at that level. Okay, so again, good stuff there in the overall sense here. I would say more so neutral in the 4 hour. Don't get it confused. This isn't great, but this is also not terrible. Okay, again, the fact that we had this large candle wick down here and the price has recovered tells us that we have a lot of support in this range, and I feel comfortable that this price point should hold. Again, really just depends on how hawkish or bullish the conversation is today from Jerome Powell. If it's really, really bad and the news is terrible, then we might see the price dip down a little bit lower. But again, I think that range between 21.5 and 22,200 is going to be a nice support range for us. Okay, so heaven forbid we lose this level, we should see something better. Last thing what we want to take a quick look at here is the cloud. Really, again, as I mentioned before, mostly sideways action, not a whole lot to disseminate based on the fact that we are range bound. So disregard that completely. I think we're in a situation right now where it's not a big deal. Don't need to worry about that. We do want to take a look at TD sequential and see though, we have hit an overexhaustive state here, albeit not all that overexhaustive because the fact that we've been progressing sideways for the most part this whole time. But that does lead me to believe that we're going to see a bounce here soon because we are overextended to the downside. Plus this extra volume down here could and should lead us to a little bit of a recovery. And by the way, when I say recovery, I'm not talking about the price just shooting past 25,000. I'm referring to the fact that we should see a retest of 22,800. That would be the first starting point. And if we squeeze through a bunch of shorts at that level, we have a lot of liquidations right there, we could very well see the price action continue further. Once again, just something to note. All right, so that's pretty much all I have for you here today. Just kind of a quick overview. That's really where we're at. Nothing much has changed. I would just say prepare for the price action to go sideways a little bit longer and progress a little bit higher, unless, of course, again, the news here today filters in and it just keeps going down. I don't think we're going to see that, but again, it could be bad news. I'm actually not listening to the speech just yet, and I'm going to tune in here in a moment and kind of see where we're at. All right, thanks again for joining me here. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one.